Yes guys, welcome back to Hair System DIY. About 10 minutes before I started recording this video, I was out in the garden and I literally caught my index finger on my middle finger on a stinging nettle bush and it stings like mad. So I've had to put some sting cream on it, and no, I have not been pleasuring myself. For any of you with dirty minds out there, this is what the sting cream looks like, and it's still so painful. Today we're going to be discussing 4 major signs that you need to get a new hair system. This is really important. I get this question so many times. Adam, when do I need to get a new hair system? Hair system DIY. What are the things I need to look out for as to when it's time to change system and get a new one? How long can I get out of this current one? And so on. So we're going to be looking at that today. Before I delve into this really, really important topic, here's a quick message from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor, guys, is LaVivid. You can find them at lavividhair.com. You can get a 15% discount code on any stock hair system or accessories that I've negotiated with them just for you guys. It's Adam15. All the information is in the description box below this video. If you want high quality hair systems with good shipping times and top customer service, consider LaVivid. So sign number 1, and this is probably the most obvious one, is you get a tear in the base. Now, a tear in the base is not the end of the world. I don't want to mislead people into believing that, because there are certain tapes that you can get that can patch up a tear if it's fairly minor. If it's a big major tear, it's probably irreparable and it probably needs to go in the bin. There is a tape by Walker, and it's a one-sided tape called base tape. If it's quite a small tear, anything that's not as long as about that, then you could probably tape it up and you can probably get at least another month out of it. The one drawback is it's not quite as comfortable to wear on your head because there's another sort of layer of tape on there. But I've used it a couple of times when I've had tears quite early in my hair system sort of journey, or even when I've been wearing hair systems and I'm maybe like a month or 2 in. It's more common with an ultra thin skin. It's much more common because the actual membrane itself is much thinner, so it's much more prone to tearing. A good way to get around that, guys, is to use glue on an ultra thin skin. Please don't use tape. Tape is the #1 cause of getting tears on an ultra thin skin, or pretty much any base. Just be delicate with it, okay, guys? So sign number 2 is you're getting this is a key word, significant. A significant amount of shedding on your base. Now, this is likely to happen anywhere, I'd say, from month 4 to 5 to 6 if it's a lace base. If it's an ultra thin skin, you're likely to be getting a fair amount of shedding probably after month 2. You'll probably notice a lot more hair in the shower. You'll notice a lot more hair in the sink. If you're combing your hair, you'll notice a lot more hair coming out. Now, why is that? Well, with the ultra thin skins, more often than not, the hair is actually injected into the poly base. So yes, it's injected quite firmly, but over time that weakens and it does tend to fall out. With lace, it's slightly more secured because it's knotted into the base, but over time, those knots do become loose. It can be pretty formidable in the early days, but then as time goes on and you wash your hair more, or you comb it more, or you just have it out more in the environment, you mess it up, you play with it and that kind of thing, you might style it, that's when over time, those knots in the lace base become a bit weaker, and it's exactly the same with the poly. I'd argue that polys, they probably shed more quickly. Now, shedding, this is really important, by the way. Shedding in the early days is normal. You will have a level of shedding. You know, I've got a silk hair system on right now. It's about 5 months old. You know, I was getting a little bit of shedding in month 2 and month 3. That's normal. A little bit of shedding is normal. However, when it gets to the point where there's a very obvious amount of shedding, and you're noticing that certain parts of the base are getting noticeably thinner, that's a sign that you need to be getting a new hair system. I'm going to pop an image up on the screen right now to give you a visual idea of what I mean. So as you can see with this gentleman, it's pretty obvious that there is a significant amount of shedding which is affecting the overall appearance of the system and the realism of the system. When it gets to the point of this, it's time to get a new system. It's a big sign, but please, I can't say this enough. A little bit of shedding is normal. That happens. That's not a reason to get a new hair system. When it's becoming significant, when you're noticing a lot of hair coming out and you're noticing certain patches on the system becoming thinner, or finer, that is when you need to consider getting a new system. Sign number 3 that it's time to get a new system is when the hair is becoming so dry that it basically has the appearance of straw. So it's becoming dry, it's becoming brittle. It tends to go hand in hand with the shedding of the actual hair system base itself. So the more hair that's falling out, when you notice that, you'll probably also notice that the hair itself is getting pretty dry, pretty straw-like. You might be using conditioner on it, or you might be using a daily leave-in conditioner, and it still looks dry and quite brittle. That's when you know it's time to get a new hair system. And sign number 4 is that it gets to a point that the oxidation of the system, that's when basically the system starts developing sort of brassy, sort of gingery undertones. When it gets to the point that that doesn't even get corrected by a semi-permanent hair depositing conditioner, of which I use Back to Natural, and I used it a few days ago. But if it gets to the point where the brassy tones are so obvious and it's not being corrected by a product like that, so a hair depositing conditioner, that's when you know that the system is spent and it's time to get a new one. So there's 4 really, really obvious signs. I mean, I always end up getting a new system before it even gets to these points. But if you want to get as long as out of your system as possible, I can tell you now that these 4 signs are when you absolutely need to get a new system. So number 1, you've had a tear, a significant tear. Now, yes, as I mentioned earlier, you can use base tape to patch up little ones, but big ones, probably not, probably time to go in the bin. Sign number 2, significant amounts of hair are shedding from the base of the hair system. Significant to the point where it's actually noticeable to other people, where there's sort of very clear thin patches that you can't really cover up on the base. Sign number 3, the hair gets so dry that it resembles effectively straw and the hair is lightening quite significantly, and conditioner and leave-in conditioner isn't dampening down that effect. And sign number 4 is that there's been so much oxidation that's happened to the system that colour depositing shampoos or conditioners like Back to Natural are not correcting this. That's when you know that this system needs to go in the bin. So guys, let me know your thoughts on this particular topic. Have you experienced any of these 4 signs where you've just been like, you've been powering on through, but you're like, it's got to the point now where I need to get a new hair system? At what point in the hair system's lifespan does that usually happen for you? And does it differ for you between a poly base and a lace base? Let me know in the comments box below. I'd be really, really interested to hear. If you haven't subscribed yet or you're new around here, please do hit that subscribe button. You don't have to, but it'd be really great to have you as part of the tribe. I make 2 to 3 videos a week offering free hair system advice. So please do subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye for now.